Since, okay. So here we are.
And welcome to Common Sense News and Entertainment and a joint venture with Yankee T News here live again on Facebook on Mayday, 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 which, by the way, is a communist holiday. But here we are.
That's right.
Going to
Yeah.
turn our attentions to,
Yeah. This is
once
me,
again, joint venture with Yankee T News and Common Sense News and Entertainment and
Jason.
co-sponsors of the debate.
Entertainment. Yes. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, let's start with Mayday.
Let's do it.
All right. So my tidbits to share are from Glenn Beck, who did a short clip about, all right, get ready for this. Somehow they were able to tally up all the money that was put into the, hold on to your hat, 600 some Mayday celebrations around the nation.
Mm-hmm.
To do those 600 celebrations, somebody spent $2 billion.
George Soros, hello.
And others. Okay. Yes. So this is kind of concerning. On the one hand, that you have to shell out all this money for these people to show up in the first place does not suggest to me that it's a strong, organically driven movement of communism.
Not at all.
But I think, did we talk about this? About, the fact that for the longest time there has been this intimate relationship between what we'll call the private and public sectors, where what they share, so we say big government and big business share a passion for control, right?
Of course.
And so what big business brings is the money for control and market control, and government brings the law and regulatory control, and you put the two together and you've got modern America, baby. So that's
the problem. So let me ask this fundamental question.
Yeah.
They have a law in Connecticut now. If you're driving down the highway and you're in the right lane, and there's an officer on the side of the road or pulled over, that if you don't get out of that lane, you get in trouble, right?
I understand. You avoid them anyway.
Of course, you want to avoid them, but the right lane, which is a legal travel lane, you're supposed to move over to the center lane if you can safely to give him an extra lane of space, which is fine. I'm okay with that.
I mean,
but
yeah.
Here's my point.
Yeah,
that's illegal. You get in trouble for that, but I guess it is legal to fund, if you're rich, to fund the destruction of America. Not against the law, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Oh, first, free speech, remember?
Whoa. Funding the destruction of America, that's free speech? So yes. It's legal to destroy our own country.
Well, let's put it this way. If you went back in time, communism was taken a lot more seriously as something that had to be. Jake K is on with us.
It's got to be something that Soros is doing illegal, is it
not? Technically, no. I would say that
that's a problem.
By itself, with these things are legal, but I'm sure buried in there, and you don't have to look too hard, you're going to find some kind of fraud being committed. Okay.
Well, what about just funding groups that you are knowingly going out and doing like Antifa?
Okay, well, the closest thing to this is going to be those groups who have been designated as terrorist organizations.
That's where we're going to get. That's where we can get this guy then.
Well, it's called step up to the plate here. So a few here. All right, I'm going to throw this in. I can't help myself. I'm calling this a post Pam Bondi moment.
I was just going to say, how long has it been since Pam Bondi?
She's gone. Thank God she's gone.
It's been about 6 weeks.
Now that we have Todd Blanche running the show. And
6 weeks.
What a funny thing, how shortly after she left, the charges came out on SPLC. Okay? Funny thing.
Yeah, Bondi is an imposter, as it turns out.
Yes.
You see what we're dealing with? She had me fooled. I was all about Pam Bondi.
Well, so that you're going to find, well, I was not.
I'm pretty smart. I was all about her.
But you know what?
Maybe because she's a babe probably got me a little bit. I'm a sucker for a babe every now and then. I can't help it.
Well, when are you going to learn? Or maybe you can say,
flaws. One of my flaws. I do have a couple of them.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So since I happen to mention Pam, we will get back to the rest of this very quickly. There was a fascinating little thing by Adam Carolla, the comedian. You know him?
Who now?
Adam Carolla. out of
Adam
California.
Carolla. No, I don't know these comedians these days.
Often you see him with Gutfeld every so often.
Okay. I probably would know if I saw his face.
Yeah, you'd recognize him.
Yeah.
So he's introducing a new concept called gynofascism.
Dino-fascism?
Gyno, like a guy.
Gyno-fascism.
Right. So gynofascism, suggesting that women have a particular penchant for fascism. And where he goes with this, I find very interesting. And frankly, I think he's spot on. What it comes down to is men, when there's something in front of us, we just want to get out there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Women, they need to sit down and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can't have people in executive positions sitting around talking about it when they need to take action. And Exhibit A is that jerk of a mayor in Los Angeles, Karen Bass. Okay. The fact that she's a communist is just, the cherry on top. But his point is that she and all the women that she's hired into key positions, such as firefighting, did not do what firefighters and others do, and that is take action. Instead, there's process. They need to discuss it. No, that's not how you do it.
Well, then doesn't it just come down to the fundamental truth that women are nurturers and men are producers? That's just how we are. That's how we're built as human beings. And if we don't beholden ourselves to that on some level, this isn't to suggest that women can't do what they want with their lives. I've always said, I get in trouble for this, but I'm going to say it. Mm-hmm. If women, women have rights in America, and they should have rights. And if you want to pretend to be a man, that's fine. You have the right to do that. But we'd rather you just be a woman. Take care of the kids, do the right thing. Then you can have your career too. But what do you think? What do you think we have so many teenagers running around committing crimes in this country for? Why do we have so many problems with our youth? They're not getting the proper upbringing. Many of them are being raised in daycare centers, which I'm sorry, do not fit the bill.
Yes, no, and it's also single-family households, which is a real problem.
No matter how this is not to put down daycare centers. No matter how well-meaning the workers are at the daycare centers, it's not enough for a baby, or especially a young child, preschool, and certainly in their formative years. So the breakup of the family, that's something we need to talk more and more about, because that's where the rubber meets the road.
Okay.
Well, all of these political issues, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. The only real issue in politics, in geopolitics, is the state versus the family. Everything else revolves around that. Everything else we talk about.
Sure seems like it. So one of the pictures I wanted to be able to get up tonight shows a lot of adults and children walking down a hallway in what I presume is the Capitol building, and they're on their way to Lamont's office to make their case against this anti-homeschooling bill. Okay, and it's a good picture. See, it was put up by the Family Institute, and your comment in that picture inspires a thought in me, and that is, for people who are doing homeschooling, okay, or let me put it this way, I think there's going to be a lower percentage of single-parent households among children who are being homeschooled. Okay, so homeschooling.
Okay.
So homeschooling is an integral part of having a sound family unit.
That's correct, and that's why they want to police it and put it down and discourage it as much as possible.
I think it has more to do with the teachers' unions, and they're afraid of all the students who are being taken out for homeschooling. So,
which means their jobs and they care about themselves and nothing else.
Sure.
What about community homeschooling too? That's another thing we should look more into people doing.
Well,
so in other words, it's hard to homeschool when you have to work.
Well, let me give you an example. Okay, so the Education Council had a meeting the other night with two kids, one of who just graduated from Guilford High School and the other who is doing homeschooling. And the one who's doing homeschooling, I think the term is pop-up, but she used a different term. So she said that while she has her homeschooling, there is also an informal homeschooling academy, which they call a homeschooling co-op, which has been formed. This group, they meet once a week for classes. There's 70 of them. Okay, I find this fascinating. Homeschooling kids getting together in a group of 70.
Excellent.
Okay, so that addresses socialization issues.
This isn't in Connecticut, though, is it?
What?
It's in Connecticut?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Okay, and it's not the only one. Okay, so you can see there's a slew of issues around this. All right, but a lot of it has to do with the phony laws and statutes the state of Connecticut has tried to impose in the realm of education. So
I urge people to defy.
Yeah, so it isn't just the kids being pulled out of school, okay? Is that whole new institutions are rising up to replace public education.
That's wonderful news.
That's the kiss of death for public education.
Good. And it should die. I've always hated public schools, even when I was in the public schools. Yeah. And you know what? Let me tell you something else. Let's talk about for a minute, getting back to May Day for a minute.
Yeah.
Why we want so many kids out of the public schools.
Yeah.
They're not, first of all, the performance statistics are well known, have been hashed over and over again. Right. They're terrible. Kids are not learning how to read and write properly. They're not learning proper history. We know that. Mm-hmm. It's a terrible educational outlay that they put out, number one. In Wisconsin today, on May Day, they went so far as closing the schools for the day so the kids could go protest Donald Trump. They're turning these schools into political staging areas.
They're protesting.
They're not teaching our kids anything that they should be teaching them. The parents should be outraged.
Yeah, they're protest factories. Okay.
Yeah, that's terrible. What is parents need to understand that, if you want to protect your kids, what are you doing?
All right. Well, I'm going to put
there.
I'm going to put it to you. What are you going to do about it, Jason?
I don't have any small children, thank goodness. I do have 3 grandchildren, my oldest of which will be in kindergarten next September, a year from now. And I'm talking to her mother, and I don't want them to go to the public school. I know that. You know what's great? The Montessori school.
Yeah, well, there's that.
That's only for the littlest ones, I think.
There are other private schools, but I'm suggesting that you should take a personal interest in helping with the education of your grandchildren.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay.
That's why one of the stories we're going to catch on to, Common Sense News Entertainment, is the Board of Educations around the state of Connecticut and how they've been infiltrated by bad actors that are teaching our kids crap. They're more interested in changing the gender of your kid than they are teaching them math or science. That's how twisted this thing is.
I think what you're saying about the boards is half true. And
not all the members of the boards, but they're being shouted out by some pretty radical people.
And there's a little bit of a dovetail here between the boards of education and Project Red Hawk, which I would have to get into later.
Good. But what about the, there's PTAs too.
Yes. No, the PTA.
What about the PTAs? What is going on in these PTAs?
All right. It's part of the same thing here. Okay. You've had choose your label, communists, liberals, progressives, whatever, who have taken over the educational system.
Yes, that's good.
Okay. Bad. Which means they have also taken over the institutions that make up public education, which like the PTAs are one. Okay.
Yeah.
So the PTAs are useless, neutered organizations, and the parents, anybody who has anything to say, pretty much gets shut down. Okay.
So the parents that are involved in the PTAs are pretty much your TDS victims, your left-wing unhinged people that are in there.
Just more go along, get along types, I would say.
Yeah, just like the State Central Committee.
All right. So look, it's unfair. Sorry, it is unfair for you and me to sit here and criticize these people for what they're going through when the real mission, okay, is to give them a platform, a place, a messaging form, or whatever that helps them speak out against these creeps. All right,
it's
not happening. Okay, what you find instead?
We're working on it.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, thank you. The problem is that many parents, it's very weird. It's a circle of fear. Okay, it's a circle of fear. The parents are afraid of the teachers if they speak up. The teachers are afraid of the administrators if they speak up, okay?
To the point where we're chopping off kids' penises instead of teaching them math. That's where we can't speak up against that in big numbers. Man, we're screwed.
No, you're picking an extreme example. I'm talking about the more day-to-day mundane issues around. All right, you use a sex example, but sex education. Okay, you still have parents who disagree with how sex is being taught in the schools. They dress it up as health education, but as we know, all these other issues around LGBTQ have been shoved in through the health education part.
I happen to think that public schools have no place teaching sex education whatsoever.
Okay, well,
that's my position on that. That's none of their business. That's a family matter.
Good to know. The problem is the system, continues to function as it does, and it's going to take organization that doesn't exist. The only real force right now that kind of speaks up in any way concerning education is the Family Institute. And, we've done a few things with the Greater Education Council of Connecticut, but we have to do a lot
more. Hopefully Linda McMahon is helping out down there. I don't know.
All right. Well, she's running interference in the sense that she's helping to destroy and terminate all these different federal initiatives. The biggest
has to happen on the local level, though.
We should not be excited by this. Look, for example, with respect to DEI and CRT, she has put out the word that it ain't no mo. The federal government certainly doesn't support any of that. Well, it doesn't matter because in the local school districts, they still do. All right.
So then it's all about local control. It's all about breaking the cycle of fear.
Yes, breaking the cycle.
Okay, so let's just take I'm going to just pick on my old elementary school for a minute, Lake Street School in Vernon, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's about 400 kids in that school, about 60 per 6 classes, K through 5, about 60 some odd, 70 a kid, about 400 kids or say 300 to 400 kids. Now, I got to think most of those parents in that town, let's just say, for instance, that Lake Street School was doing the wrong thing, teaching kids the wrong crap, not, terrible test scores. There's instances of kids being, mutilated in this, recommended DCF, bad things happening, this she stuff. You say one man lost his kid because he wouldn't call his daughter a man. So all that stuff's going on. Don't you think that out of those 300 parents, 2/3 of them, at least 80% of them, have got to be appalled by all this? Where we break the cycle of fear is groups of those people show up at groups, not one. We've been through this with the RTCs. Same thing with the boards of education. Groups of 5 and 6 parents. You can't conjure in every town at least 7 or 8 sets of parents to go in and start making a lot of noise at these boards of educations. If for common sense, then you that's what has to happen. That has to be organized at that level. You get together at somebody's house and have coffee, and with about 5 or 6 couples, you recruit 4 or 5 more couples, and you say, next Tuesday at the Board of Education, we're going down there, and enough is enough. Right? Yeah. This is where it happens.
Well,
we fix what's broken.
You have to understand that the boards of education, I think you know this, have already been compromised as well.
Of course.
Okay, and I need to explain a technicality to you that's very important. You have not heard of creature of the state.
Creature of the state. I know a lot of people are beholden to the state, is what that is, right?
No.
Okay.
No. There is something called the creature of the state doctrine.
Okay.
And it's one half of the fight over the following question. Who's in charge? Is it the local town government? Is it the people in that town? Or is it the state government that's in charge when it comes to education?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The PTA would be an example of local control, opposed to people from the community. Now, the thing is that the Board of Education is composed of people elected by people in the community.
Which should be another grassroots thing.
All right. So you would think that the Board of Education should be considered an institution of
democracy.
Now, hold on. Slow down. Stop jumping the gun. Local control.
Yes.
Connecticut is one of the outstanding states when it comes to the concept of local control in education. All right. Now, for better or for worse,
Now,
Connecticut was the last of the 50 states to embed in its constitution that it was the responsibility of the state to provide a free education.
okay.
Okay. The last. Okay. The point being,
And when was that?
uh,
1948?
1959, something like
Okay.
that. All right. So the point is, up until that, even still after that, but the point is that there's been a long running fight about local control in education. Okay.
Yes.
Long running.
Mm-hmm.
And the spirit for local education is still strong in Connecticut.
We're lucky in that respect, but
Okay. Nonetheless, communists have come in, they've taken over. Okay. You have the State Department of Education as the main vehicle.
mm-hmm.
Okay. And they have imposed all sorts of regulations and restraints as far as local control is concerned, which came down to a big fight that went to the Supreme Court. And the question was, who's in charge? Remember, I just asked who's in charge?
Yep. And what
Okay.
did the Supreme Court say?
You're not going to like the answer.
The state.
When it came to the Board of Education, they decided that the Board of Education is an institution of the state, but a strange institution. Hence, they introduced the term creature of the state.
Oh, God.
Creature of the state doctrine. So it's not like a regular state agency. Regular state agencies don't have elected officials on them. But they say, "You're great, you've got elected officials, but the people who are on the board answer to the state and not to the local people who elected them." Okay? That's what you have to chew on. That's what you have to think about right now. All right? And I
So
can
even though they're elected officials, they're not beholden to their voters when they get elected. Officially, they're supposed to answer to the state.
okay, because
So Vernon, every town.
this explained a lot to me because I've been to quite a few Board of Education meetings, and I noticed that many times when people were speaking, those people on the board were out to lunch. They were, they were looking at the people who were speaking, but they were not looking at them as they were speaking.
Because they don't care. All right, so
not that they don't care. They report to a different master. That's the point.
Which means they don't care. So the bottom line is this.
Oh, no, it doesn't mean they don't care. Okay.
If I was a member of the Vernon Board of Education, I would not be beholden to the state. I don't care what the damn paper says.
Okay.
I'd be putting my energy toward the people. I don't care what the damn paper says.
How many members are there on the board?
What's that?
How many members are there on the board?
I don't know, what, 12, 13, depending on the state, on the town?
It'd be 9, yes.
9, 11, 13, whatever.
And what's the other little trick?
Proxy voting.
Party
stacking.
affiliation. Party affiliation is divided as evenly as possible.
Oh, between the two, right.
Okay.
Well, wait, doesn't that come down to the voters, though? They vote these people in.
Well, yes. So what can happen is some towns with more Democrats than Republicans will vote more Democrats. More Democrats will get higher votes. Okay, but they'll say, well, we have a board of 9. A bare minimum of 3 need to be Republicans. So the other 6 can be Democrats. Okay. But if some of the Republicans receive more votes, then it could be 5 and 4 rather than 6 and 3. Okay. But it's still a mess. Okay. Because
it doesn't matter. The voters are disenfranchised anyway because they're not beholden to them when they get elected. So,
okay. The board is still a functioning body responsible for managing the school budget.
Okay, when you're talking about the Supreme Court ruling, are you talking about the Connecticut State Supreme Court, or are you talking about the United States Supreme Court?
United States.
Oh, God, that's a dagger right here under my heart.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. And so you're going to have to,
Gonna have to challenge it again. This ruling was how long ago?
I think it was 2000 or 2001, something like that.
25 years. Maybe we should revisit this.
Yes. And, okay, got any lawyers in mind?
Yeah, do actually.
Okay, and got some money.
I have
Okay.
one in mind. No, we have to go pro bono, but he's a principal guy. We'll see. I'm not going to name him on the air, but
Okay. Well, it takes having someone, and that's Deb Stevenson.
God, maybe I should go to law school.
Tell me how old you are again.
I'm 55. I could do it in 3 years, 4 years. I might need an extra year to do it.
Well, I'll tell you the
You
story.
got to do it within 5. You can do it in 3, but they'll give you up to 5.
I'll tell you a true story. There was a woman who had taken a special interest in the civil rights of high school students. And she spent several years studying cases and situations and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, she wrote an article for a law journal, and they asked her, well, what law school did you go to? And she said, well, I haven't been to law school. Okay. Well, they said, well, this is a really great article. You should go to law school.
Yeah.
And at the age of 55, she graduated from law school and practiced law for the next 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've always thought about going to law school. That was my mother used to always tell me. That was my mother's wish for me. Law school.
Yeah.
I argued with her so effectively.
Well, it seems like there's so many. We have too many lawyers. That's another discussion. But anyway, so here you sit, though. Next best thing, private investigator.
My father said to me once before he passed away, I remember it well. We were sitting at the McDonald's watching my kids that were younger, watching them play. He says, Jason, he said, I think it's great that you're an investigator. This is when I first started my business. It's great that you're an investigator. He said, but I think you're smarter than that. You could be a lawyer, he says.
Yeah.
I said, or I could just be really smart and be a really good investigator.
Yes. And
yeah, that too.
I do believe that there's a registered agent who lives in Fairfield who owns a house worth more than $1 million.
I can believe it.
Yes. So registered agents can make a lot of money, apparently.
Oh, yeah. And process service can make a lot of money, too.
Well,
about the volume. It's about clustering. So in other words, when I swoop through Bridgeport to do 1 or 2, I could be swooping through to do 5 or 6.
Yes.
That's where the clustering comes in. That's where the money really racks up.
Okay. Well, would a
Not doing it for the money, but whatever.
Would a registered agent do larger clusters?
Registered agent is like a stationary position.
Yeah.
Come to you and drop off subpoenas. You're collecting subpoenas for big companies is what you're doing.
And so, but it's kind of the same thing for each subpoena.
But probably I can see how it could be very lucrative because now you're not spending gas money and automobile wear and tear. You're kind of sitting in all you need is an office space. And
all right.
So,
this raises an interesting question. I mean, is there a place where JBD Investigations becomes expands to such a degree that you could look at one person and say, okay, we have hired you as our registered agent. You're going to sit in that office and you're going to handle process serving, and all that money will just flow into your company?
I'd have to study the market for it first because I know that there's 2 or 3 pretty large, 2 for sure, very large registered agent companies that handle all the major insurance companies and all these. So I don't know what kind of market is left for. You would need, I think, for that to be successful, you need to capture one of the big companies like a Aetna or a Cigna or the Hartford or one of those to really get the volume going for it. Or so I think as a separate entity, probably not a good idea. But if as just a department of JBD, yeah, there's no reason not to do it. It result in some probably pretty good income, but I don't think it's the kind of like no $1 million houses unless you get the big, really big companies like ESPN, Subway, BIC, some of the biggest companies in Connecticut that are pretty married to these other, and thanks to guys like idiots like Ned Lamont, there's fewer and fewer big, strong companies in Connecticut here to work with to begin with. So yes, I think it's definitely can't hurt. There's no way you lose money doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's certainly a high, high reward, low risk and possible reward, but high reward, I don't know.
All right, so let me just give you another example, though, of the underhanded tactics that you can encounter with the Board of Education.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Guilford, Connecticut. Okay, my friends in Guilford, there's a story to be told.
Okay.
I don't have the years exactly right, but maybe 2 election cycles ago,
okay,
there was a big fight first within the Guilford Republican Party about putting together a slate of candidates for the Board of Education election.
Okay.
Now, mind you, so it's the same old story, conservatives versus rhinos. All right. So the conservatives won, but you're going to find out that by winning, they lost. So what happens? The people who are the rhinos leave the Republican Party and they form their own third party. Okay.
Oh, geez.
Okay. The state of Connecticut has special provisions for minority parties being on the Board of Education. And all they did was exploit and manipulate those provisions so that not only did the minority party get onto the board, but they managed to push out all the Republicans. So there are no Republicans on the Guilford Board of Education.
Wow.
Okay. So that's an example of the game playing that goes on. And the only response to that, the one that my Republican friends in Guilford are not ready for, is that they have to create their own minority party to run against the other minority party.
My God, sounds like a tangled web. But so the answer to this, Core, is to get this Supreme Court decision overturned, really.
Yeah, 10 years later. Were you the one who was telling me about Ben Proto's 10-year plan? Or no?
No, it's not Ben Proto. It's the 8-point plan. We got to go over that.
Yeah, he has an 8-point plan.
It's not Proto, but it's what it turned out. I researched a little bit more.
Yeah.
The former governor of Colorado, I don't have his name, Perry, I think. I forget his name. He's not an anti-American. I have it mislabeled. He is actually a pro-American guy, and he came up with a theory of what they're trying to do. What he thinks is their 8-point plan to destroy America. And he's laid it out for us to see and become alarmed and aware of and try to stop, essentially.
Sure.
And one of them is anybody who disagrees with you, you label them a racist, or you label them, criminal or whatever, Nazi, racist, the things that you keep hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Any disagreement at all, even if the disagreement is organic. I'll give you an example, abortion, right? I'm very much pro-life. But I've evolved from that. When I was younger, I used to say, hey, look, in the first 2 or 3 months, what's the big deal? I've evolved from that. But that's an argument that can be reasonably made between two different sides and hammer out a solution. They will call you a racist, though, if you're okay with if you're pro-life versus the 2 or 3 month clause or whatever, you're a racist. Or if you want to put too much money into a certain area in a budget, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, you're a Nazi. Okay. Especially if you want to make America great, you're a Nazi and a racist and a homophobe. So that's one of the 8-point plans. Another one is to create a language barrier. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this before. Make sure there's 2 different languages, or as many different languages as possible, so people can't communicate with one another and they're divided. And the third one is the salad bowl versus the melting pot. We've talked about that before. Encourage people to come here and keep their own national cultures and not assimilate with ours. Mm-hmm. That's something that is being systematically encouraged to people that came in this country illegally. Mm-hmm. And there's more of them. I wish I could remember them all.
Okay, well, those are things on a broader scale. In the case of Connecticut, Ben Proto said he has a 10-year plan to turn Connecticut Republican.
He does not have a 10-year plan. Then let's hear it.
Yeah. My point is, this is the 10-year plan from the guy who lost us 50 seats in the last election. Yeah, I don't think so.
Has he laid out this plan in detail, or is he just talking about it?
I think he's just talking about it.
Of course.
All right. So, yes.
That's to buy time. Mm-hmm. Republicans his rhino friends can get behind his 10-year plan, keep him in power while the rest of the country falls apart around him.
All right. Meantime, I want to just mention quickly. Well, all right. I'm going to mention quickly. There was another. What do I want to say? I think it was on Facebook, and again, I've got to stop putting things off. Like when we're done here tonight, I should immediately get to work on signing up so I can do all these document conversions and post them here on StreamYard. We have a claim. There was this goofy face of Murphy, where he finally admitted that he did meet in secret with the representatives of the Islamic regime in Berlin. Yeah, I would say that violates the Logan Act. No,
Yeah.
I'm sure about that. Yeah, but here we go again. Nothing's happening.
I know. I feel like I was in the room. I feel like they're plotting that they're working together to take down America.
Well,
They are
looking pretty lame at the moment. But on the other side of the coin, there, this, all right. Steve Bannon had mentioned in passing that of all the Gulf state countries, the one that has the strongest military is the United Arab Emirates. They have trained up about 250,000 troops.
that small country. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So,
Let's get them going.
well, and guess what? There's talk. So here's the thing that makes you stop and say, wait a second. This, I mean, how should I say this? In the spirit of how people in the Mideast communicate with each other. So what happened was the UAE government took down a picture, I guess it's an official picture, of the Iranian flag, okay? So there's the current Iranian flag with its funny kind of pattern. Can you visualize that in your mind?
Kind of, yeah.
All right. The Iranian flag prior to that had a lion on it. So
Talking about the logo right in the middle they have, right?
yes, is a lion.
Yep.
Instead of that pattern. Okay. The UAE has posted the old Iranian flag with a lion, meaning that means they recognize the regime before the Islamic regime.
Well, that's good. Let's go help the people restore that old regime. That would be very helpful.
I mean,
We don't mind some American special forces to come in and help out.
it's going to take more than just special forces. Okay.
Well, no, they have 250,000 troops.
Okay. All right.
Use our technology, their troops, and our special forces.
Logistics.
That's right.
Okay. It takes time to plan everything. How are we going to do this? When are we
on our side? We got the blockade going. What do you mean by time? Months?
I don't know what the answer is, but how quickly can you organize 250,000 troops to go and invade another country?
I'd say a few weeks.
Oh, it would take more than
if they're already trained for fighting in that area, I would assume that they've been trained for fighting in the Middle East. So it's just a matter of the game plan for this particular conflict. And I would think a few weeks would be enough.
No.
I don't know. I'm not a military connoisseur.
No.
I don't like fighting. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I don't like wars.
Yeah.
I don't like this war either, by the way. I just know that it's a necessary one.
Yes.
Doesn't mean I like it. You can do both. You cannot like the war. You know, I have a guy who's a good ally of mine. He's a local guy. He's from East Hartford. He's thinking about running for mayor over there, actually.
Yeah.
And I really like him. He's a fighter. But you know, I had a little tiff about. He's saying the gas prices are going to really piss off all the MAGA people, and they're going to all pretty soon abandon Trump. And
well, no,
I said, well, listen, the gas prices are. I'm with Trump on that. They're a small price to pay for a safer world down the road. I know a lot of people struggle, but listen, most average Americans, gas is 8% of your budget at the most.
Okay, well, it's still, I mean, to stand there at the pump and have to pay out $50 and $60 instead of 30 or 40.
Sure.
Notice.
You do notice it, but again, it's gas in total about 8%, 8 to 10% of the budget. So an increase of 25% is only 2% of your budget. So I get it's annoying, and I'm sure for some people it's a real struggle. I'm not denying that, but again, it's better than being nuked.
Well, they're not going to nuke us. The whole thing of their nuclear
If we don't do anything about Iran, though, if we don't fight the war, we let them build straight, they can eventually become a nuclear power.
Okay.
And we don't want that. We're trying to stop that. That's what this is about.
Okay, I'm going to say it again. Bullshit on the nuclear power stuff, okay? They don't have what it takes.
Not now, they don't, Court. But if we let them, this is a regime change thing. If we let the mullahs continue in power,
suggestion for you.
In time, they will get what they need.
In your free time, I suggest you read the history of the development of the atomic bomb, okay? And I want you to pay especially close attention to the part where they build the detonator, okay?
Okay.
secret.
Okay, I can't argue with you. I know you have a very scientific mind over there, so I respect that, and I'll check it out.
Or I'll get to the point here. The way the bomb was made was that you had the uranium core, the fissile material here,
Mm-hmm.
and you had the imploders, which were explosive devices themselves. And when they hit and exploded and caused the fission, it had to be timed perfectly. Timed perfectly.
Okay.
You cannot tell me that the Iranians have that capability.
You can't tell me that they don't. And another thing is, you think it was a lie that they were 11 weeks or 11 days away from a working nuclear weapon back when we...
I'm still saying it. Bullshit on all of that. All right. And the notion they could purify it quickly. No.
So what are you suggesting? Let the mullahs continue.
One more. I got one more. One more. What did we do before we dropped the bomb on Japan?
What did we do?
Tested it.
Yeah, of course.
Well, you have to test it.
If you're a responsible government, you have to test it. Iran doesn't have to do any. They don't have to test anything.
Okay, guess what? If you don't test it, gee, what a shame when it blows up just when you're assembling it because you didn't test it properly.
Sure, I get that.
Okay, so no.
They're not. These people aren't logical thinkers. They're religious zealots. So what is your suggestion then? So you're saying that Iran is not a nuclear threat, we should just go home?
No.
All right, then what are you suggesting?
Okay. Look at their history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Since 1979, you had this country screaming endlessly, death to America, death to Israel, mm-hmm. death to America, death to Israel, year after year after year. Okay. Right. They clearly stated their hostility towards us.
And they certainly have made a lot of infiltration inside of our country right now, too.
They have caused terrorism all throughout the Mideast, okay?
And the United States.
And, well,
yes,
not so much the United States, but okay. But they had been building up over time. Did you know that Hezbollah had drug operations in South America?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, you knew that. Okay.
Well, I was heard of that. Yeah, I'm not out there, so.
Okay. So there have been all kinds of weird stuff going on with Hezbollah in our hemisphere.
And I just want to remind you that it's been shown that Iran is behind a lot of the funding that went behind 9/11. So, yes, they are responsible for terrorist attacks here in America.
Okay. So I don't know. I have the feeling that if you're constantly threatening and destabilizing your neighbors, constantly threatening to attack us in Israel, and not to mention Europe, I don't know. I'm not sure this is a regime that should be sticking around. Just
of course not.
My opinion. Okay, so we finally reached a point. It's a kind of an interesting question. Attacking Venezuela became the launching point for going after Iran. So in President Trump's mind, a plan had been developed which was being executed in real time. And that was to begin to shave down, what should we say, non-Western influence in our area, but also to put the slamma-jamma on communist China.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because between Venezuela and Iran, that was about 20% of China's oil supply.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you lose about 20%, that can kind of hurt. Well, they can adapt, but, for only so long. Mm-hmm. Right. So there's a geopolitical ulterior motive with respect to China. But in the meantime, here's a country that not only has been threatening us, but it's a danger to its neighbors in the Mideast. That's reason enough for me to say, you have got to go.
You got to go. Should have gone a long time ago, quite frankly.
Screw the nuclear stuff. I mean, the nuclear stuff is supposed to get people all upset.
Okay, so it's a bonus. We eliminate whatever nuclear threat is a bonus. I agree with you. I'm going to throw nuclear as another reason, but I think that obviously, just as a whole, the mullahs are they're theology and their attempt at, if they could, they would. I don't think you would deny that if they did have a nuclear weapon, they would probably use it. So
Yes, and unfortunately,
that's enough for me.
And I'm afraid I have some bad news to share with you.
Oh boy, I've had enough tonight. But go ahead, hit me.
So we have to just take a moment to feel at least some sympathy for the 14 IRGC members who blew themselves up today while trying to build an IED.
You're not going to get that from me.
Oh, I feel so sorry for them. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Well, we got that out of the way.
Let's have a moment of silence. Okay, it's over.
Right. Yes. All right. So we had that. Now, all right. So see, am I leaving anything else out here? So UAE, I think it's going to take a while, but we're going to see, because look, all right. Now, and then
it's going to take boots on the ground at the end of the day to shut this thing down.
We don't like it. I hear a lot of guys in the military just shaking their heads, saying it's a bad idea to have boots on the ground.
I think you have to do it. I don't think you need 1 million people, but I think it needs to happen, though.
All right. So here's the thing. I'm going to just throw out this other thing, which I question highly. But let me put it under the heading is this: other sneaky things that the IRGC is doing that you don't realize. Okay, that's the heading. So the example under that heading was the claim. There was a video. I was watching this thing, and it's like, very, very engaging. But the claim is that special forces went into the area around around Bandar Abbas, okay, which is the sort of the last stand for the Iranian Navy. And they claim to have found these underground facilities in which there were, hold on to your hat, thousands of centrifuges.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Well, okay. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching the clips, and, a guy who's very good at video editing, could really whip up something. And I'm just sitting there going, wait a second, guys. And they're talking about how it was so carefully concealed and nobody had any idea. But it just happened to be in an area near where you had to invade. I'm having a problem with it, okay? So I'm a little skeptical about these things, about claims like that. All right. So that said, let's go back to the blockade. And the blockade is working effectively despite these false stories the media keeps putting out.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not going to do it by itself, though.
No, but that's just it. So we've set the stage with respect to the blockade. Now the question is, what else can be done? Let's just talk about Carg Island. So here's an interesting question, or it might not be an interesting question. If they top out on all those storage tanks, all right, and let's say they've used up every last piece of storage space or tank and tankers they can find, at some point they have to stop pumping oil.
Yeah, because there's no room to store it.
So now all these people who were working in those facilities are out of a job. That's not good. Okay. The source of income that they need, they lose $350 million a day, okay, as a function of these the tankers not being able to get to their markets. Okay. And so at some point, does Carg Island become the point of attack for something like this?
Which we talked about a month ago, too.
Yes, we did. And I decided it was not.
What about this for a military strategy? Now, I'm not a military strategist, but we do have air superiority, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so why not take an area like in Iran, that's a strategic area we pick out, land a number of troops, create a safe zone.
Sure. Well, I've thought that thought.
Right? Yeah. And then from there, you slowly but surely expand the safe zone, maybe create 2 or 3 of them even, and start to expand it. And then by doing that, you bring in areas where you can bring friendly Iranian citizens into the fold. And just little by little, we can reinforce it with troops from the air. So we don't have to crash the shores.
All right.
Just little by little. Like a year or whatever, but you start to grow and then at some point the scale would tip, and then all these people of Iran can feel like they can come out and fight. And then
I have thought
strategy to me.
I have thought the same strategy. I have thought the same strategy.
That's by 1,000 cuts, basically, strategy.
Well, I don't know about that, but the hot issue here is going to be that as you bring these populations into the fold, then you also have to be able to feed them. You have to be able to provide, there has to be some basis for an economy within your area of control.
Which is probably the lure that would help the lure of the area. People who are, they're going to be starving in Iran eventually, and they'll come get the food here, you know.
Okay, so will you go out?
Yes, it's expensive, yes.
You get the Subway orders and the Chick-fil-A orders for them and all the things to make sure they get fed. You take care of that?
It's almost like you can do basic food. It's almost like a Marshall Plan before the end of the war, in essence.
No.
So you're saying my strategy won't work because it's too expensive, too much cost for food?
I go back to the same thing again, logistics. Okay, you take an action, there's follow-up. Anything you do, there's something else that follows up on it. There are other things that happen as a consequence. So if you haven't figured out what those consequences are going to be, positive or negative, you're just going to get into trouble. Okay, so and then
the negative side is what on this? There's too costly.
Anyway, let me go to the other part, which was it mentioned by, I think it was the Navy Admiral. It wasn't Kane, but it was one of the other members, I think, of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And so there are two things here. One is the concept of retrenchment. Okay, the concept of retrenchment simply says that we attack, we've done our part, we've caused damage, and now we're going to draw back. And we're going to wait. All right. Now, that seems counterintuitive because all you're doing is giving the enemy time to reform. Okay. But maybe
you're also reforming.
You've assessed the damage. You say it's pretty serious. But now, will the second strike be the one that finishes them off?
I hope so.
Okay, so
that's the only way the war ends in my mind.
Again, I need to remind the audience, you got to imagine the picture. You got to see the map. Here, why don't I just put up the topo map? It's the easiest way to do this. Oh, very briefly. All right,
I'll tell you one thing. Even if we successfully take down the mullah in Iran, let's say we managed to create a regime change, we create a friendly Iran, we win this war. Okay. As soon as we win this war, we better immediately turn our attention more back to our homeland because that's where it's going to continue, right here.
Well, let me go back to that later. Right now, what you have to imagine is you can see that big green area. That's Iraq, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's
to the left.
And then Turkey there in the corner is all that. Okay, but then to the left of Iraq, you're going to have Syria, Jordan, Israel, okay? Mm-hmm. All right, so you've got all these countries, and guess who's flying their stuff in? America. There is this huge ongoing air convoy or caravan of materials, weapons, you name it, troops that are being flown in,
mm-hmm.
Okay? So I guess you can't, all right, so that's all you can see. Or I mean, if you look at my picture here, so for my picture, airplanes flying from America to England or into Europe and then refueling and flying all the way over here to drop off the good stuff, okay?
Okay.
They're rearming. They're getting ready, okay? So during this period of, quote, retrenchment, you have the buildup, okay? Meantime, the other brilliant move, as far as I'm concerned, see down here, where are they? I think that where you see that funny little trapezoidal red line kind of thingy there.
Yeah.
That's the United Arab Emirates, I'm pretty sure. Okay?
Yeah.
So if anybody's sort of like geographically poised to do anything with Iran, I'd say they are.
They are, yeah.
All right. I think that's them.
So we're going to win this war, is what you're telling me. It's just going to be patient. That's what I think.
Well, yes, that's what it comes down to.
Don't worry about the gas prices. I know they're expensive. I know. I feel it too.
All right, so
I'm dishing out $60, and I drive 4 times more than the average person. So
okay.
And I'm still on board with this war. So come on now.
There you go. Well, me too. I mean, when I look at the pump and how much I'm paying, I just remind myself we just have to be patient. This is
Right.
yes, the price we're paying personally.
We could end up with $1.59 a gallon gas in a couple of years if this goes well.
Oh, that's another good point. After all is said and done.
What we're doing domestically right now, it takes a little time to come through.
So for what it's worth, there's this guy named Ed Dowd who is a really interesting financial guy. And he said the models that they've put together, this year, about this time right now, the inflation rate is about 2.5%. But get ready for this. For next year, this time, they're predicting that inflation will be 1.5%.
There you go. That's where you want it.
Okay. So the point is that he and I think others can see that there will be a positive resolution to this thing. And yes, we're going to say it again. It's just going to take time, and it might take more time than you think.
More time than you think. Trump tends to be one of the things that my guy was from East Harvard was telling me. He's right.
Yeah.
Trump tends to make promises he can't always keep. He's a very positive thinker, I think Trump is.
Yeah.
I'll come out and tell you, we're going to get this thing wrapped. We're going to win. We're going to get wrapped up in 3-4 weeks, And you know what? He needs to be a little more careful of that. So that's a criticism I'll have of him on that.
Well, as one person said, ignore him, but take him seriously.
There you go. The oxymoron of the night.
That's right.
All right. Is that it for tonight then?
We still have 4 minutes. We still didn't get to talk.
You don't want to waste 4 minutes. Okay. What else is on your mind?
Yes, we didn't get to talk about what I mentioned to you earlier.
Oh.
So, ladies and gentlemen, whoever watches this, take note. Write this one down, because I think
like and subscribe too, people.
That's right. We're going to hear more about this one. Oh, my goodness. We'll call it gossip. We'll call it a rumor, but here you go. The body double for Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah.
Has turned state's evidence. Yes, I was the body double. Yes, I sat there at the desk. I pretended to be the president. Yes, I did phony phone calls with world leaders. Yes. Oh, jeez. Oh, my God. So, yeah, a lot of people could be in trouble. Yes, if it's true. Of all people, the one who was the fake told the truth.
And the real Joe Biden is dead.
Oh, no. He
died in 2020.
I think he
died of the COVID in 2020. So how are we going to mainstream this new information?
Just tell your friends. Okay? Oh, God.
Let's get him here on it. Let's get the fake Joe Biden here on the show.
Yeah. Anyway, another subject that we need to talk about after this later.
Okay.
My friend Jim Kenney had been pressing. Yes, Jim, are you still there? I don't know. It looks like you should be there. I don't know. But he was really pressing the point that we should really be making flyers and distributing them. All right. There are lots of ways of communicating with people. We talk about social media all the time.
You're talking about for the debate?
Everything.
Oh, everything. Right.
Okay. So because right now we're just focused on the delegates, right?
Right.
So there will be other debates and other things, but so he's just, Jim is an interesting person because he is as down to earth and as real as you're going to find anybody. Mm-hmm. And, and I've walked with him a few times doing door knocking and stuff. And, you learn when you're doing that there's certain things that are very useful when you're trying to communicate with people. And of all things, flyers are one of those things that are effective communication devices.
They are, yeah.
Yes, quite. So he was just
James and his wife is really good with flyers. We should talk to her.
Yes, she is. That's true. Mm-hmm. That's Catherine, right? His
yeah,
wife?
That's Kathy, yep.
Should I say her called the farm wife? Would that be the right term for her?
Sure. I don't know. You're going to have to ask her that one.
Now, wait a second. Dude, on the pop-up group here, you got...
They like ice cream. I know they like ice cream.
Okay, well, it's not... They make ice cream.
Yeah, they like ice cream.
Okay, but no, on the pop-up group, she had... See here, I think you said safe travels or something to her, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think. Oh, no, that was for Selena.
All right, well, hold on. No, but Kathy Moore was weighing in here, too.
Yes.
She said, sorry, I cannot make it because of the farm.
Right.
This is
Yeah,
time
that was me.
away, away in their houses for the night. I guess she's talking about the horses, as we have so many predators here. But James will be there. So I guess she was talking about she can't be at the debate.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. So and then I need. So I just need to. I'm going to throw out some names. Anne, Mandy. No, what's her first name? Anyway, I'm going to say Mandy. I'm going to say Anne.
And
a couple others. These are people who are also delegates to the convention, and they're interested in attending. So I'm trying to get them hooked up with Selena because
yeah, that's great.
she's the one who's got to close the deal, right?
She's the one that's going to do the list, and she's the one that's going to be checking people in. So she's the person to go to on all that.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So I got to keep following up on that.
And I'm working on the promotion and the coverage of this thing.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to discuss that too. The days are winding down.
Right. You and I and Eric got to meet tomorrow morning.
Okay. Well,
we're on the same page still.
So what? Are you going to go to Greenwich?
Oh, I'm not going anywhere. We'll talk on the phone. I'm not driving to Greenwich tomorrow. No way. I'm staying home tomorrow. I'm not going anywhere tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. You know what? Now that we mention it, before we go,
yes,
I am not available to tape tomorrow night. So if you want to do one in the middle, early afternoon, I can, or morning, even late morning. But I'm taking my daughter to Woonsocket, Rhode Island tomorrow night, and we're going to see Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat live.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
She was a little girl. She loved it. We used to play it for her. She wouldn't go to sleep without it for a few months there. You know how kids are.
Wow.
And then we started talking about it, reminiscing about it, and I saw the tickets. Let's go see it. And she's like, "Yeah, this would be great."
Okay. So what time do you have to leave for that?
Oh, I have to leave at 5:30, 5:45 for that. But she's going to be over earlier. So, I mean, anytime before 2:00 tomorrow would be great. It could be in the morning if you want.
All right.
Talk about it. I don't care. I'm pretty flexible before that.
It's going to be tricky. You know, I have to. You know what? I'm going to have to do it myself. I'm sorry because I'm going to be in the office.
That's all right. Maybe you can get Eric on.
Yeah.
Or what's going on with Alan? Alan's around.
Alan has a strange schedule.
Okay.
Just like process servers have strange schedules. And he is a 911 and fire and police dispatcher. Okay.
Yep.
He's an emergency multitasker.
So he can't be there all the time. Yeah. So I guess you're having a solo flight tomorrow. That's fine.
Yeah. So I'll double check with him when he's available. But I think he'd said the next 7 days, he's locked into a late night schedule that wouldn't work.
Yeah, because I won't even be home till like 11:30 at night. I don't think so.
Okay.
And I'll be passing out cold by then. Okay. Anything else on your mind before we check out?
Let me rattle my brain. I'm just going to say that we have to become the tip of the spear on education in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
And also, so there's two things, a special channel just about that, about education in Connecticut.
Or daily TV show.
Yeah, daily thing about education in Connecticut. I don't know when or how we do it, but I feel the need. And
it could dovetail with our quiz show. We could quiz high school kids.
That would be interesting. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We got to figure out how we would do that.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Okay,
something is burbling here. We're going to look at
I can see your mind burbling over there.
Right. But yeah, no, there's a whole thing here that needs to be done. Look, if Lamont insists on signing this anti-homeschooling bill, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it's war.
Yeah.
You heard it from me. It's war.
And we can't don't obey that law. Don't do it.
And yes, and I'm going to be foursquare involved in fighting it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
The whole thing blows my mind.
It's evil, pure evil.
It is.
Flies in the face of the American value system completely, like 180 degrees.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of like the obvious stuff in terms of what they're doing with respect to kids and families. Okay,
Yep.
But this vaccine bill is much more subtle and much more evil. Okay, so that's a whole other thing. I got to offer up this one other observation here before we go. Okay, it's great to hear about how gerrymandering is moving in our direction around the country. You've been following that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we're seeing these examples Okay, and so Lee Zeldin, and he's cutting back all this stuff with the EPA. Okay, cutting climate regulation is going to be an incredible force for growing our economy.
That's correct.
Okay? So you got that. There are other good news things happening. Okay.
That's right. It's not all bad. That's right.
Meantime, in Connecticut, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
The shit is hitting us everywhere.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
Everywhere.
I agree.
Okay, so
that's why we need national attention. That's why that's going to help. National attention will help us.
Yeah. Well, okay.
We're not crying wolf. We're crying. There's a real wolf.
Yeah, but there has to be a clear goal. All right. To me, the clear goal is to repeal these laws, but the other clear goal is to turn the state around politically, and that's the much taller order we have been talking about. Honestly, I know we'll be talking about some more soon.
Tomorrow.
Right. Okay, so I'm signing off.
Okay, so good night, everybody. It was good to have you. A great show once again.
Yes.
Common sense, news, and entertainment. Remember, the battle is always between the state and the family. Good night, everybody.